Hey everyone, how are you today? Welcome to another edition of the Evolution Now podcast. I am your host, Mr. Terrance Johnson. As always, thank you so much for joining me. I just appreciate all the support, all the comments. You know, I got to do a couple of quick shout outs. First of all, I just want to thank everyone on Instagram. We're approaching 60,000 followers, which is incredible. The comments and the interactions, it's just great. So thank you so much. We need more support over there on YouTube. So please, if you're feeling the reels and you're subscribing to my account, please go over to YouTube and subscribe as well. It is greatly appreciated. I mean, a couple of our videos, have already went over 1 million views, and I think the most recent one we put up is right around 220,000, and it's still trending upwards. So we couldn't do any of that without your support. So from the Evolution team, as always, thank you so much. Well, let's get into our topic today, our podcast. What are we going to talk about? We talk about a variety of topics here, and as always, I have my counterpart in the studio, Mr. Gus, my guy, with some questions that have been posed for me to answer. I will answer as best as I can. Hopefully it resonates with you, it makes sense to you, and you will implement some of the things that you hear today. With that being said, let's get into it.
All right. Well, we actually got a few emails about this next topic, so I'm going to combine them into one. But what is your take on today's masculinity and the term toxic masculinity?
What is my take on masculinity in today's term toxic masculinity? Well, first of all, my take on being a man in this day and age in 2024, it's obviously, in my opinion, men are not placed at a high level of value whatsoever. It's not even a racial thing. It's across the board, particularly in this country. I don't know what it is in the rest of the world, but just the dogma, the rhetoric that you hear, the narrative that's created as it pertains to men and our value and what we bring to the world is vastly different than it was 25, 30 years ago. So what I would tell any man is to be a man. Is to be a man. You have to be a man. You are a man. And don't let no one define to you what a man is. I hear people say this, a real man. What the hell is that? I'm a real man, and I don't agree with a lot of stuff that I hear, but listen, man, stand strong in your convictions, stand strong in what you're wanting to believe about yourself and what you're doing for yourself. I will say this to you as a man, it is filled with responsibility and accountability. I often say this to my clients, and I have a variety of clients of different backgrounds, races, and genders. You know, at the end of the day, it's your life. It's your life. And if you really think about life in its totality, 100 years from now, all of the things you're really worried about or concerned about won't even fucking matter. Everybody will be dead. I mean, I really want you to let that marinate in your mind for a moment. Once you understand that you only have a very short period of time to make a life on this world, you will understand that it's in your best interest to do what's best for you. Now, a lot of times that could be construed as being selfish. I beg to differ. Your life is your life. It's worth living. As a man, what I would tell you, the biggest decision you're going to make outside of your career would be the woman you choose. And all I would say to you is this: choose wisely. A good woman will either bring you to heights you never thought were expected that you could achieve, or she could put you in prison for non-payment of child support. It is what it is. So what I would say to a man is to choose wisely. This term toxic masculinity, it's a bunch of bullshit. You know, it's weird, because I'm 6'9", I weigh 290 pounds. I'm a big guy. And when I'm ever in the market with my wife and I'm very tall and someone needs something to be reached for them, they have no problem asking me to help them. They have no problem. But if you really want to focus on true equality, then get it your goddamn self. But that's not the case, and I'm not that kind of man. Of course I'm going to get it for it, because that's how I was raised. A lot of what you hear about masculinity is not only not true, it's just downright stupid. It's just downright stupid. Be a man. Without men, the world will fucking fall apart. Let me keep it a buck. I give a damn if you like me or not, because none of you is paying me a damn thing, and excuse my curtness, but I keeps it real with people. Without men, how would your roads be paved? How would your toilet flush? Who's going to change the transmission on your vehicle? Who's going to rotate your tires? You know? Who's going to make sure that the food is delivered to the supermarket so you can go in there and buy your Yoplait yogurt? Men. So this bullshit that I hear about men not this, men not that, and that's no shade to my women. I'm married now 30 years. I love my wife with all my heart. And I have a daughter and I have 2 granddaughters. I love women. But you don't have to downplay men to uplift women. Let me just put it to you like that. So that whole term toxic masculinity, that's for some weak ass dudes that are buying into that shit. A real man, and look at a person saying that to them, look at them with such disdain and disgust to even propose such an asinine statement is ridiculous. Toxic masculinity. You ain't toxic with somebody trying to break in your goddamn house and you hope somebody there to protect your ass. When you call the police, you ain't hoping for some 5'4", 110-pound woman. You hoping for some 6'8", 380-pound bulldozer dude to come in there and protect you. Let's just keep it real. But anyway, next question.
Who does a man call when he has problems?
Men call no one when they have problems, and I want to break that cycle. Men have problems. And unfortunately, in our society, men have gotten to a point where they think no one cares about them. And I don't blame them because that's the narrative that's promoted. But unfortunately, who do you call? This is what I would tell any man. In order to have friends, one must learn to be friendly. Now, I know that term friendly can be somewhat misconstrued as being soft or simping or whatever. I don't mean that. I have very few friends. I have some good friends, but they're very few. I have very few friends that have been with me 10 years, 12 years, 14 years of my life. What I would say to a man, if you could find one good dude, and he don't have to be your same age. Let me put that out there too. You ain't got to rock with some young dude. Find an elder. I mentor a lot of young brothers. Everyone I talk to is younger than me when it comes to my business and my mentor program. They're all younger than me. But the one thing I would suggest to you is you find a friend, someone that's cool with you. You have similar backgrounds, or it could be totally opposite backgrounds. Y'all could be entirely opposite people and still get along very well. Believe me, it's possible. But what I will say to you is if you don't have anyone to call, and I don't want to sound religious here, call on God. If there's no one else you can talk to, there's no one you can express your feelings to, share your pain and emotions with, call on God. But I want to put this out there. One of the things I'm focused on, if you have been raised in a single parent home, if you were raised without a father, follow me. If you have not, and that goes for men and for women, if you have not, had a father on a consistent basis in your life, if you have not had a father on a consistent basis in your life, what advice can I give? What do I do in these certain scenarios, circumstances, or situations? Hey, I'm feeling this way. I don't know how to deal with it. Follow me, DM me, reach out to me, because I'm all about us moving forward and uplifting each other. But I'm not with the bullshit and I'm not with the games. I don't play games with people. Games for little kids. This is what I tell my men. Women and children can make mistakes. Men cannot. Women and children can make mistakes. Let's just keep it real. All women get a pass in a lot of stuff. We know it's true. You go to the club, hey, they got women's night. You get in for free. I still got to pay. Let's just keep it real. That's how the game goes. But what I want to tell you is this. Stay focused on that. Understand what it is that you're doing and recognize the importance of your mindset and your life and how you're moving forward. And a lot of us don't get that because if all you're getting is feminine energy your entire life, most likely you're going to be highly emotional. You're not going to think, you're going to react. You're going to react from an emotional perspective. This can be dangerous for men. And this is how a lot of men wind up in prison because the system has created something that they're banking on you losing control of your emotions. And in a split second, you're going to shoot someone, cause something bad to happen, and it costs you the rest of your life. Usually when you have a father, he's going to be there to tell you, you know, mom's love is different, dad's love is different. But if you're missing dad's love, you're missing a lot of guidance. You're missing a lot of leadership potential or qualities that will be necessary for you to be a man and how to operate in this world and survive in it. And not just to survive in it, but to thrive in it. You know, I'm serious about that. So again, if you don't have a father, if you grew up without a father, no one, Mr. Johnson, I grew up in the hood, I grew up in the suburbs. I didn't grow up in the hood, but my dad wasn't around. Hey, I love my moms, but there's certain things I'm not comfortable chopping it up with her about. Follow Mr. J, because right here at Evolution, we're going to give it to you real. I'm going to tell you the truth from my experience as a parent and being a man in this country. So, and that goes for my sisters and lovely ladies too. Hey, a lot of women grow up without their dad. I hear men make fun of women having daddy issues. Yo, we having mommy issues. Everybody got issues, man. This whole thing that their issue is greater than your issue is a bunch of bullshit. Everybody fucked up. Everybody's fucked up. It's the truth. You can run to the church house. You can run to whatever. Everybody's dealing with something. And a lot of times, because we won't speak to each other, we won't interact with each other, we're not close to one another, we don't tell people what we're dealing with. And hence we find ourselves suffering in this life. So again, I know it's somewhat long-winded, but I hope it helps.
Can you explain there's the two ways of living of having to do things and wanting to do things and the difference?
Well, most people don't do what they need to do. They do what they want to do, which ultimately winds up getting them in trouble. This is what I was telling my daughter years ago, and I would have these conversations with my wife as well. It's the difference between what you need and what you want. Most people don't do what they need to do, and most men don't do what they need to do until they don't have no other choice but to do it. This is just unfortunate. We put that under the umbrella of procrastination. But what I want you to focus on is doing what you need to do. Let me give you an example. When you graduate from high school or you graduate from college, you need to get a job. You want to get a job, and you need to get a job that's paying you as much as you could possibly imagine. But usually when you go for that job, they don't give you what you want. If you want a job paying you $160,000 a year, that's what you're wanting, but the position is paying $110,000, you can negotiate, but the odds are you're not going to get what you want. That's usually not how life works. Let me give you a secret how life works. You never get what you want. You get what you believe. I'm going to say this to you again. You don't get what you want. You get what you are. The universe has a scale, a scale of balance. You must believe me. It's the truth. You can't do evil and expect good continuously. You can't lie and expect honesty from other people. You can't expect to have a lot of money and you're irresponsible with what you have. There's always checks and balances in our existence as so-called human beings. So something I want you to think about is creating that balance inside of you so that you can operate appropriately.
How can we be more compassionate to each other?
Well, the way to be compassionate towards other people is to learn to be compassionate towards yourself. It's very difficult for someone to love someone if they don't love themselves. How can you have compassion for others if you have no compassion for yourself? Many of us will look in the mirror every day and say, man, I don't look good enough. I'm too fat. I'm too short. I'm ugly. I'm too dark. I'm too light. My hair's all this criticism. So think about that. If you're very critical of yourself, I find it would be very difficult for you to have compassion for others. What we need to do, what I highly suggest you do, is before you try to love someone, love yourself. Well, how do I love myself, Mr. Johnson? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you giving yourself the very best that you could possibly have for yourself? And a lot of us don't do that. So in order for us to have compassion, you must reach a state of mind or a state of bliss, if you will, where the first person you're going to love is yourself. Once you are capable of loving yourself, then you are truly capable of loving others. And furthermore, when we start talking about compassion, I was laying in the bed the other evening with my wife, and we were just talking. I think we saw one of those commercials where dogs were homeless in the street, or people were going around talking about the dogs are going to be euthanized. And I found it fascinating that people would have so much compassion for a dog and not a person. Let me give you an example. A person to see a dog on the street, hungry, obviously the dog is hungry, they're sniffing around, as let's say they had any type of snack, they would give it to that dog. They'll see a man or a woman laying on the street and tell them to get a job. Just like that dog couldn't feed itself, maybe that person couldn't feed themselves that day. But I find it intriguing, fascinating, and also very disturbing that we would have such compassion on an animal. And I love dogs. I have pets, no problem. But to put the dog's existence above another person shows you how far off the trail we've actually become. So compassion is something that's not only needed, it is something that is warranted in the world today, because obviously the opposite of compassion is in full-blown effect. Full-blown effect. So be compassionate if you can. I didn't say be a fool. I didn't say be a simp. I didn't say be no sucker. I ain't saying let nobody take advantage of you. I'm not saying that. Let me be crystal clear. I know you guys are hear something and run with it. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying be compassionate, and I'm saying being wise, and I'm saying being loving, but just be wise and who you show that side of yourself too. How about that?
Can you delve into the difference between employment versus calling?
This is a good one. One of the questions is employment versus calling. I have clients, and I've dealt with many clients from various different backgrounds, and what I find is very sad and depressing. Many people are in employment and not their calling. In other words, you're doing what you were trained to do, but not what you're necessarily extremely good at, what you do naturally. And there is that level of unfulfillment. Now, I'm a realist. We all have fiduciary obligations that we have to pay: mortgage, rent, car payment, car insurance, cell phone, groceries. I get it. And I'm with you on that. You got to pay your bills. But I would highly encourage you to find some time, to carve out some time for who you are and what you're really wanting to do. You know, you're going to go to your job. You're going to work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for the next 30 years, making someone else wealthy. You call that gainful employment. I call it slavery. I'm not opposed to it because I was in slavery once as well. I had to do the same thing, the same thing everybody else does. But I learned in the process of that there had to be a better way. And the best way to break that is to learn to invest in yourself. Listen, if you're not in the trades or crypto, and I'm not a financial advisor, I just keep my ear to the street. If you're not involved in any of the things that's moving money into the future, you're going to be left behind. If you don't see automation and AI coming, taking thousands of jobs, you're going to be left behind. If you're telling your kids just to go to college because you said they went to college and got a bachelor's degree in social studies, you should look at college as an investment. It's an investment. If you invest $100,000 for your education, you need to be making $110 minimum when I get out. Other than that, I'm underwater. And any businessman would tell you, anytime you're underwater, it's not good. Unless you're leveraging that debt to acquire more. And most people are not leveraging student loan debt. Let me be crystal clear about that. So I'm not telling you not to go to college, but I am telling you to look at it as an investment. I give a damn about you drinking, pledging, sororities, fraternities. I give a damn about none of that. What I'm saying to you, the real world is, you're going to have a skill set that you can sell and monetize so that you can exist in a society where everything is constantly going up higher. And if not, life sucks in this country when you're unsuccessful. Did that answer that?
I believe so.
Did that answer that one? Okay, next question. What we got?
Well, we had a couple people ask about like the divide in the country and how distracted we are. And one asked about race. So we'll start there.
Race in this country. Listen, let me tell you something. Racism always has and always will be an issue in this country. However, that's no excuse for you not to strive to be the very best version of yourself. Are all white people racist? No. Are all black people down for black people? Hell no. So the deal is, you have to judge everyone on an individual basis. That's what I would encourage you to do. But a lot of us are taught a certain narrative when we grow up. You know, we buy into the ideology or the philosophy of the environment in which we find ourselves in. In other words, if I'm a young white kid and I'm growing up around a bunch of Klansmen, the odds are I'll probably become a Klansman. If I'm a black kid and I'm growing up, Pan-African and, down with the white man, down with the devil, whatever you want to call it, then obviously I'm going to have issues with white people. It's just the truth. But ultimately, you have to make a decision. Here's what I tell people. Don't be so black you can't make no green, and don't be so white that no one thinks you're right. It's just that damn simple. You know what I mean? We're people. At the end of the day, we all have our perspective. We all have our opinions. I have many people of different backgrounds that I deal with. So it's unfortunate, and it will continue to be this way because racism is the biggest way that the powers that be keep control. If I can keep you angry at each other, divided, if I can make you think that this person has more than you, whatever it is. And here's the interesting part about all of that. Do you know that everybody's in those positions, most of them are already wealthy? They're wanting to maintain their wealth. And the way you maintain your wealth is by keeping other people underneath you. So I'm going to divide you through education. I'm going to divide you through race. I'm going to divide you through all those things so that you never really see what's coming. Could you imagine? I mean, think about this. Everyone indulge me for just a moment. Could you imagine in this country that if everyone united as a common goal, I'm not talking about the government, I'm talking about the people, what we could do? They talk about Dubai and Japan and China, how these places are beautiful. And then when you come to New York Airport or LaGuardia, how it looks like a third world country. These things are all done by design. But let me continue to tell you this. The greatest inventors, the greatest minds still reside here. The deal is those things are popular, those things aren't praised because those things aren't what they want you to see. But if we could all come together, could you imagine Mexicans, blacks, whites, all of us coming together with a common agenda and a common goal? Nothing could stop us. But unfortunately, that might be a pipe dream because I know it is easy to divide people. All I gotta do is offer this guy a cherry lollipop and offer this guy an apple, and it's a fight. It's just that simple. So when I think about us being adults and saying that we're mature individuals, no bullying, and then we wonder why our children do it. Here's something I want you to ponder and think about. Your children are merely a reflection of the society. You see evil because society is evil. But no one wants to talk about that because accountability to human beings is like kryptonite to Superman. It's just not going to work. Next question.
Well, the next listener was curious about the divide in relationships, specifically men and women romantic relationships.
I was up this morning watching some topics on relationships, and I'm very heartbroken, sad, discouraged, and somewhat agitated that men and women have bought into the narrative that they don't need each other. You really think that you and men and women don't need each other? I mean, that's like asking a grasshopper it doesn't need the female grasshopper. Or the female grasshopper saying, I don't need a male grasshopper. How would the female continue to exist without the male? How would the male continue to flourish without the woman? You know how dumb you have to be to believe that bullshit? Let me just keep it real. Do you know how dumb and stupid you have to be to believe that you don't need a woman and that you don't need a man? Do you know how dumb you sound? And someone's going to say, man, you sound dumb. Man, you crazy. Because let me tell you, young dummy, something. You young right now, so you might be 25, 30, 33, 34. Everything's operating properly. Everything's moving properly. You feel me? But I guarantee you won't be 35 forever. I guarantee you some of you are going to be diagnosed with breast cancer. Some of you are going to be diagnosed with prostate cancer. Some of you are going to be diagnosed with colon cancer. Some of you are going to be diagnosed with any type of disease, all this shit that we go through as we age. And I guarantee you this, you damn sure don't want to go through that by yourself. So cut the bullshit, all right? Stop the nonsense, man. Men and women need each other. The deal is we don't know how to treat each other. And do you know why we don't know how to treat each other? Because we've lost contact with the basic rules of life. Oftentimes I hear these men and women just beating the hell out of each other. The men ain't shit, women ain't shit, back and forth. Everybody trying to make a point, say something slick. Everybody like, ooh, like it's some profound shit. You tell you motherfuckers something, man. I'm saying it because you need to be talked to like this. This PC conversation, it don't change shit. I want it to change for you. Listen, no one ever talks about love. No one. In all this conversation I'm hearing about relationships, they're back and forth. How much money, you got to make 6 figures, or you got to be in shape, don't be overweight. As the woman or the man, you need a 6-pack, 6 feet, 6 figures. And if you don't have 6 figures, you are brokey. Get the fuck out of here. The fuck's wrong with you? Who told you that bullshit? You mean to tell me the garbage man, the good dude that come get my trash on Tuesdays, that he's not a high value man because he only making $65,000 a year? What would I do if the garbage piled up? Dummies. You mean to tell me because old girl, she work at I don't know, some fast food restaurant, that she's not a woman worthy of having a wife? A life with a husband, a cook, man. Y'all say the dumbest shit. And you know what's really interesting? How people believe the dumb shit you say. People are so fucking gullible. They actually believe that dumb shit. They actually believe the shit you telling these kids, man. Y'all ought to be fucking ashamed of yourself, man. Men and women need each other. Just like a male zebra needs a female zebra. A male lion needs a female lion. A male giraffe needs a female giraffe. What the fuck is wrong with us? Bunch of fucking idiots, man. You're idiots. That's right, I said it. Men and women, you need each other. You can't survive. Men say, oh, we don't need women. What? You don't need a woman? I don't need no man. I got my own bag. Let someone knock on your door at 3 a.m. in the morning. You gonna wish a dude was there with you. I'm just tired of the bullshit we tell each other. And most likely, I know how this algorithm thing works. This is not the message they want you to hear. They want me to say something that's gonna move me up the algorithm with some dumb shit. Shit that's not gonna make you think, that's not gonna make you feel, and not gonna make you get better. Listen to me carefully. Look, go back and watch my last reel. In order for your life to get better, you gotta be better. You want a good woman, be a man worthy of attaining that good woman. You want a good man, be a woman worthy of attaining that. Nobody give a fuck about the money. Money is important. Listen to me. Don't get this wrong. Money is important. I love making money. I'm with it. But man, let me tell you something. None of that shit you gonna take with you. All you can take is the love of your children, the love of your husband, the love of your wife, the love of your brothers and sisters, your mom, your dad. Don't you see you being distracted from the thing that matters the most? Without each other, we doomed. I'm going to say that to you again. And that whole example, what's that show, Naked and Afraid? They had the women on one island and the men on the other island, and then in a day, the women struggling and the men got food and water, but the women hungry. What's so grand about that? Because everyone knows women ain't cut like men. You're not proving anything. If anything, you're further proving my point. Because what's the purpose of the man getting the food if he ain't got nobody to eat it with? Don't no man want to just lay up next to another man. We need something soft. We need that woman. I'm keeping it real with you. You need that woman. You understanding me? But if you can go ahead and keep listening, why are we divided? Because you listen to these dumbass people tell you a bunch of bullshit. Is it easy being married? Fuck no. No. Is it worth it? The best investment I ever made was my woman. More than any stock, any crypto, the best investment I made was my chick, man. Ride or die, she was there for me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm keeping it real with y'all, but if you keep hearing this bullshit, I hear y'all tell these young people, you're going to have a bunch of single mothers, a bunch of dudes with multiple women, multiple children, and the ultimate destruction of a family. The ultimate destruction. What I tell men is this: keep your dick in your pants, man. You don't need no chick right now. Build your body, build your bank account, build your mind. Build your body, build your bank account, build your mind. Build your body, build your bank account, build your mind. Build your body, build your bank account, build your mind. Women, I have a daughter. She always say to me, daddy this, daddy that, and I get it. But I'm going to tell you something as a man. Anytime you lay down with a man and you give him your body and you ain't get a ring, you got played. However you slice it. You got played. Even if you got your little Birkin. You got a Birkin. It's hilarious. What's the sense of having a $10,000 bag and you can't put $10,000 in it? The stupidity, the ignorance in which we relish. It's like a gruel. It's like a blood transfusion for the ignorant. Let's move on.
What do you mean when you say guard your mind?
What I mean by saying guard your mind is a biblical term. Guard your mind, for out of your mind are the issues of your life. So a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. This is not just a statement. This is a true fact. And it's very important that people understand that their mind is creating their reality. Most people never get this. They think that they're a victim of chance or circumstance. This is not true. Your mind creates your reality. But so if you inundate your mind with a bunch of bullshit, that's what you're going to get out of it. It's just that simple. If you around, don't hang around people they're not going anywhere. They don't talk about nothing. They're not trying to do nothing. Every time you hear them talk, they're just bad mouthing people. You don't want to be around that. You want to find somebody that's going somewhere. And I'm not saying that to ride their coattails, but to get an understanding that there's a better way of living. You see, it's not where you live, it's how you live. And a lot of times how you live determines where you live. Remember what I'm telling you. Remember what I'm telling you. So when I say guard your mind from the bullshit that is promoted on these platforms and particularly towards people. Guard your mind. Men need women, women need men. Guard your mind. Anyone try to tell you that's not true, they're trying to hurt you. They're not trying to help you. And I didn't mean to go back to that subject, but that's just a good example. If you got a buddy and he telling you, yo man, fuck that bitch. Yo, man, fuck that bitch. I'm just keeping it real. The stuff I hear, I deal with. Or you got a chick saying, girl, you don't need him. He ain't no good. If she don't have a husband and he don't have a wife, yo, don't listen to neither one of them. Because how would they know? What you need to do is connect. Here's what I tell young guys to do. Connect with some elders if you can find them. Some older people. You know what I'm saying? Real rap. Go chop it up with them. Hey, Aunt Susan, or hey, Uncle Daryl, or whatever. What do you think about X? And then listen. Because The fact is, there's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing that's going on now that wasn't going on 1,000 years ago. All right? There's nothing new. Human beings are creatures of habit. But I will tell you this. Guard your mind with all diligence. For out of your mind, notice your mind, not the president's mind, not your local congressman, your mind comes the issue of your life. Really think about that. And when you understand that in principle, you'll realize what I'm feeding my mind is equally as important as what I'm feeding my body. You can't have a healthy body with a sick mind. No, it doesn't work that way. So guard your mind with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of your life. Be very careful about what you allow into your mind. Be very careful. Think about it like this and we'll move on. If I go to a museum and there's this precious piece of art, and they have it stanchioned off, and they have a guard there, and they have these laser things that are protecting it, even though I can't see it. Why do they? And then they have the artwork encased in some glass. Why is it in the glass with a guard and stanchioned off? Because it's valuable, and so is your mind. And just like they guard that piece of art with the stanchions and the alarms and the guard, you need to be having a guard standing at the entrance of your mind. We went through the questions, and what I want to talk about today is some things that have been on my heart and on my mind about society, where we are and where we're going. I want to encourage both men and women to get back to the basics, to get back to loving each other. When I look at these platforms and I'm hearing the banter going back and forth, when I'm hearing the fruitless and pointless points that are trying to be proven just to say I was right, it's not only immature, it's counterproductive. At the end of the day, we need each other. I want us to understand that. And I want my men to understand how important you are needed as it pertains to your children. I am a champion of fathers, and I'm a champion of the mothers, believe me. But particularly fathers, because we have a tendency to think that all our children are to us is a debt or a bill, and that's not true. You matter in your child's life. I want you to truly get this in your spirit and in your mind. You actually matter in your child's life. So if it's at all possible, be as active as you can in their life for as long as you can, a part of their life, because as always, your children grow up and they move on and move to different states, whatever the case might be. So I really want us to focus on that. Last but not least, I want all people, not just young people. I don't give a damn if you grown. You 50 years old, Mr. Johnson. I didn't grow up with my father, but I'm feeling what you're saying. If you grew up in a single parent home and you're looking for real conversation, fatherly advice, grown folk talk, grown folk advice, no one's going to tell you to go do something stupid. No one's going to go tell you to disrespect anybody. I'm not going to, let me even say no one. Let me be clear. It's me. I'm never going to tell you to go disrespect, do something wrong, break the law, break a person, break something. I'm never going to tell you that, because all that breaking leads to death. What I will tell you is that your life matters, you're stronger than you realize, and sometimes we have to deal with the consequences of our choices. I want you to start thinking things all the way through before you make a decision. This is what I tell my mentees. Learn to think things all the way through. Declare the end, my friend, from the beginning. Is what I'm saying. So learn to think about things all the way through. Secondly, what I'm saying to my brothers is this. I want the men in America to get back to being men. Period. There's no reason to argue with anyone. My wife is in the studio with me. She's highly educated, master's degrees, bachelor's degrees, the whole nine. And she hasn't worked in over 30 years. I'm not bragging. I'm saying that to say there are still traditional men and women out there that can hold it down. The wife takes care of the house, which is good. It works well for us. I ain't gonna lie. I love it. And it's our job to keep each other happy. It's our job, not me. Happy wife, happy life. Get the fuck out of here. Happy spouse, happy house. You dig? That's how I go. We both got to be happy, but no one want to talk about that. Here's another interesting point I want to leave you with. As you grow up as a man, you are often taught how to treat a woman. Open up your car door, open up the door to the restaurant, open up the door to the convenience store, right? Have you ever seen in your life someone telling a woman how to treat a man? No. And then you wonder why there's this huge disconnect. Until we get back to the basics, I fear that society itself will continue to feed upon itself. And it's going to reach a point where you are older, you're an elder, and the world in which you exist, you won't even recognize anymore. There won't be a nucleus family. There won't be any of that. And all of us will be left to, or not all of us, but a great deal of us will be left to our own devices. And a lot of times, an idle mind is the devil's workshop. So think about your life. Think about where you want to be. But again, if you need guidance, if you're looking for some leadership, you're looking for some coaching, some mentoring, all that, follow me, because that's all I'm going to talk about is what does it take for you to get better. And the first thing we got to do is be honest with each other and acknowledge that there are problems in society in this country, from racial to marital to spiritual to financial. That's the truth. And the way we can only solve it is by, number one, having dialogue, and number two, coming together to figure out good solutions to these problems. Other than that, the rhetoric's going to continue, and people are going to do these things for likes and comments as opposed to actually having solutions. But with that being said, listen, I want you to make sure that you hit that like, comment, and subscribe. Please go over to YouTube and on our TikTok. We're on both of those platforms as well. Instagram's just taking off. We're super excited about it, but we need a little support and a little help in those other two platforms. So please, if you can, find it in your heart to do so. Hit the follow button or subscribe button on YouTube and on TikTok. And remember, I'm going to say this to you again. If you're looking for some real conversation, how to deal with life with practical solutions. If you grew up without your father, follow me. If you need some information, you can DM me, because I'm all about trying to move us forward. This is Mr. Johnson. As always, thank you so much for joining me here at the Evolution Now podcast. I want you to have a super fantastic day. And remember this above all things else, your mind makes it real. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day.